Hey, we say it every week. Everybody loves going out to eat. Who doesn't love going to a restaurant? But do you ever think what's happening behind the kitchen doors? That's what we try and explore right here with the man who's been exploring that most of his life, a very young Chef Pascal.
Yeah, forever young.
Forever young. That's really the...
And forever French.
Isn't that the truth? But that is, today, restaurants are not just one size, one thing, a building. You come in, you eat, here's your French food, here's your Italian food, here's your Greek food. It's something, the whole world is a melange. There's a French word for you, a mixture of everything here. And today is a mixture, a very interesting mixture you're going to talk about, right?
Yeah, some restaurants, not all the restaurants are like that, unfortunately. But our guest today, Chef Lindsey Smith, has a very interesting story to talk about, and not just about our past, but our vision. She has really a vision to, when she first worked in the business, she said she wanted to do something very special, and she did. And she has a restaurant in Laguna Beach called Nirvana. First, I want to say, I know the definition. What's for you the application of the name Nirvana to your business?
Why is it heaven?
Yeah. So I was raised with an Ayurvedic mother. And when we grew up, I was in Laguna Beach when we grew up, and there was a little market called Nirvana Market. It was in North Laguna along the beach side of the street on PCH.
And for those that don't know, Ayurvedic is the Indian traditional medicine, sort of their version of traditional Chinese medicine or other sorts of things, right?
Yes, it is. It's the oldest written language of science of healing. And Ayurveda is the name of it. And so she's been an Ayurvedic doctor for 35 years.
So you brought that into your cuisine, into your style of living too?
It was a multitude. It was a word that resonated because of how I was raised. And if you look at the meaning of it, it means a state of bliss. And when we experience food, it is something we experience.
Sure,
and so it brings that affinity of experiential euphoria to people. So it was a way to connect everything.
Good. And that's...
How do you bring in Indian traditional Ayurvedic treatments? Because in Indian, what little I know of Ayurvedic medicine, it is like traditional Chinese medicine in that they believe they call them chakras, but in Indian and Chinese, it's an energy in your body, which Western medicine says, I don't see any energy in your body. What are you measuring this? But the Chinese certainly believe there are meridians and the energy is flowing through. I'm assuming the Indian Ayurvedic has something similar. There are, I know, in your forehead and other places, chakras and points for this energy. And the energy can somehow heal your body.
Yeah, in Chinese medicine, it's meridians. In Ayurveda, it's chakras. And being that Ayurveda is the science of life, it is how everything functions. So they go off the doshic system, which is 3 different body types that are in different combinations in different people. And so when you're born, you have your specific prakruti, which is how you're born. And as you get through life, it's your vikruti, and that is what changes throughout your life. And so you're trying to get back into a balanced state.
So how do you apply these philosophies and medical, spiritual into your food?
We don't cook Ayurvedically, but it's about having food be clean. Having it be without what doesn't need to be there, not over processing it, not over adding to it. And so keeping the food clean allows us to process it easier and to have more balance.
But when you start your restaurant, 18 years ago, it's like anniversary today of your restaurant.
For the Laguna, 20 years ago for the Nirvana from...
To outsource this kind of product was not as easy as now. Now I think it's easier to get some good biologic...
You couldn't just go to U.S. Foods or...
No, and even now it's hard and it's costly, but we have certain places that will resource. I think we have probably like 18 vendors we get stuff from, so that becomes challenging. I think the goal is that eventually as restaurateurs and hoteliers and even hospitals and schools, they become more adaptable into cleaner sourcing. If we make those changes, then the changes filter down to the general public and it makes it more accessible. If we aren't making that in the volume in which restaurants and food service buys, that buying power is just so much more dynamic, and we can have a lot more shift if we're able to make commitments.
And you have a beautiful restaurant, very well located. On what street is that?
Beach and Broadway.
Bridge on Broadway.
So one street back from Main Beach.
Yeah, and a nice dining room, great kitchen, a little outside patio. You have a terrace dining. So yes, all little charm corners. But you also, because Laguna Beach is not an easy place to run a business all year long.
Yeah.
Because it has a seasonal.
How do you make
time.
it in the summer? Or
So,
whatever? Yeah,
I'm
Or I guess
sure-
it is.
Summer is our season.
Summer.
Yeah.
It's not the winter.
So
Winter
you
is
work a lot to get the local and to be a friendship, like relationship with your customers. Is that correct?
Yeah, our philosophy is not get the people that are coming in because there's tourism. Our philosophy is our community is where we have our stability. It's our bread and butter. It's where we rely on the relationships and the commitment of them coming in and coming in frequently. And they've become a part of the family. The staff are really integrated into the vision that we have or that I have, and they really encapsulate that and they feed that back to the customer. And because of that, it's like when you think of like Cheers and you go into this neighborhood bar, you go in because the people are there, but the food is good, and the way that you walk in, you feel like it's home. And that's what people feel like, and we get that all the time. And that was the initial goal of mine, is I want people to feel like they're in my home and I'm cooking for them, and that warmth.
So you create that warmth of your presence, and you go talk to them, and also you didn't fall down the trap of make food for the main anybody that come in. Oh, you're going to find my fish and chips, you're going to find my fried calamari.
The same thing you get in every menu. The same.
Yeah, no,
my Caesar salad.
we're intentional that it's not that.
Exactly.
I mean, and we really want people to feel like there is something there for everyone, but there's something there that's different.
Oh, I look at your menu on the website, beautiful website.
Thank you.
But actually, there's almost more printing of pictures than text.
Yeah.
Because just the fact to look at you and be happy, that says a lot. I look at the menu. Is that correct? There's 6 different kinds of soup.
There's 24 actually.
24 types of soup. My wife would. We got to go then. You're
make-
lucky if you go one soup at a
Can
restaurant.
you do a
anymore.
soup dinner?
Yeah, we do. We actually are working on a soup flight where we'll have 3 different soups that'll
cool.
change. But any day you can get between, I'd say, 15 to 24 soups. We have a lot of people that come in and get them. We batch out about 5 gallons of soup at a time, and then we put them into portions that are 16 ounces, and then we freeze them the next day as soon as they've cooled. And we always have them available, and it's something that a lot of people come for, and it's a very popular
You
thing.
must be known for
Yeah.
that. A lentil soup, so your butternut squash soup,
Yeah.
great, of course, tomato soup. And
Can we talk about soup for a moment here? We'd love to dive into this. So Chef and I talk about this all the time. When he had his place, it was structured. French, you're going classic French food. And then his friend Bruno's doing Italian food.
Yeah.
And somebody else is doing Greek food. And it was very segmented. Then somewhere along his era, as you were started in the 80s into the 90s, fusion starts mixing together. And now it's Greek, Philippine, something or whatever. It starts mixing and matching all these things together.
Well, that's all California cuisine is, too.
Yeah, exactly.
California cuisine is all of this meshed together.
Exactly. What surprises me is soup is the most probably universal thing in the world. From the smallest village anywhere to the biggest, fanciest terrine of fancy French soup. Soup is there. And yet, I rarely see soup featured or much soup on the menu. They have a soup with the salads. It's not a priority. They don't do much, most restaurants. Why? Why is soup so under, or am I just overreacting?
if I can say a
Please,
little thing, a lot of restaurants at one point, when you used to pick your entrees, and then the server come to you and say, okay, you want soup or salad?
Yes.
So
The assumption was you're going to have one or the other.
I mean,
yeah.
we had no choice. It was this soup or
And maybe it
salad.
even came with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it come with it. But the fact to have a variety of soup like you do, is like you feel healthy because soup is so good for you. And that's the best way to have people eating more vegetables.
So let's go back to your
Well, and it's
statement
also-
just before you say
Yeah.
that. So, yes, soup either was included, soup or salad was part of every menu, and still is on some older thing. But young restaurants I go to, hip, cool places or whatever, just went to one this past weekend, nobody said, do you want soup or salad? What comes with it is fries.
Yeah.
Everybody's got fries or potatoes, something like that. That's a natural. There's some, if what comes with the meal isn't soup or salad anymore, those are add-ons.
Yeah. And we really focus on minimizing waste. And since we trim all of our meat and all of our fish and all of our poultry, and then we're processing everything, it gives us somewhere to utilize it. Mm-hmm. Now we're making so much that we're having to buy to do it too, but we're still able to utilize a lot of what we have. And with some of our purveyors, they have portion cut salmon and all these different things that they might do, so we can actually get the trim pieces that are smaller, chop it up. We make an amazing salmon chowder, an amazing salmon chowder, and we put fennel and dill and some really great things in it, and tarragon, and so it's something that people don't know.
Lindsey love to add herbs, alright, to have a low level of a little touch of seasoning different than others.
But Chef teaches now at Saddleback Culinary Institute, and part of it isn't just to teach them how to cook, but how to operate your own place someday. And we've talked about this many times, I had a little sports bar in Mission Bay. It wasn't little, it was Kelly McHugh's 6,000-7,000 square feet, mostly bar, and we had some food, and we hired some kind of little simple chef to do this thing. And he started saying, you got to do soups and stuff. I said, soups? They're drinking beer and whiskey. What are we going to drink soup for? Yeah. One, because you're going to throw all that stuff away. Yeah. All that stuff that we were wasting, repurpose it, reuse the chicken and the vegetables and all
if
the
we
stuff.
use vegetable for the soup and we have trimming, then we make stocks.
Yeah.
Which means it's really good also making vegetable stock, chicken stock, and
so we had a pretty killer soup that was like a vegetable kind of thing. Chicken kind of combo thing. It was just whatever we were mixing up, and he was really good at that. And I was amazed. The customers
and your food costs went down.
Food costs went down, and the customers loved it. There was something they couldn't get.
And the trash stay empty.
And the trash was less empty. Yeah.
We even have a green waste bin, but it's very little. If we do Thanksgiving, and we do every year probably about 20 to 30 turkeys. And we'll have people picking up at all of our turkey carcasses, all of our trimmings, like they become what we're roasting down below. So when we're doing our stuffing and we've got all of our trim from our celery and our onions and our carrots and our peels, that becomes the base for our stock, because all we're doing is roasting it on the bottom of the turkey. We're not doing anything more. You're not going to see it. And so we want the flavor there, but it also increases the cost if we've got to get an extra case of all these things just to put on the bottom of a turkey that we're going to strain and throw away.
But that means you know how to take some of this and trim it and do it, because we were a sports bar mostly. So what did we do? We went to Cisco and U.S. Foods.
Everything's chopped ready for you.
Chopped, ready, portion controlled.
But
I thought that was genius.
You have any idea? It costs you double.
I learned that the hard way.
It's amazing.
I thought it was smart to get it all.
We can make it ready. Bam, bam. We can open just
less labor.
Less labor, exactly.
We can bring a kitchen staff just an hour before we open.
Exactly. And I found that was not true. The old idea of cutting it up and reusing it.
It's a pre-cut, but it's a shortcut.
Yeah.
Pre-cut is a shortcut. I like that. Ooh.
The thing is, we have to talk about.
Oh, incoming. See, calls are coming in already here.
Yes, hello?
Where can we get this? While we're doing, before you jump in, I want to paint the picture, and I know she's going to hate this because she doesn't want to put a label on any of this. But what is the cuisine? What would I expect?
Well,
is there a label?
Before we get there,
okay.
She had a journey before she was going there.
The journey will explain the outcome? All right.
Yes. And she started working when you were 15?
Yeah, I was 15 when I got my first restaurant job.
Yeah.
You and Chef and about half of the other people he's brought in here. Yeah. That's child labor. You guys aren't supposed to be working at 15.
No, come on.
Oh, we loved it. We loved it.
Okay.
It was intrigue. It was education.
And then when you turned 18, you went to school as well.
I went to school first when I was 18 to the Ayurvedic Institute, which is what my mother does. And Dr. Vasant Lad had an institute in Albuquerque. Yeah. And I went there for a year, and I decided that probably not what I was going to do. And so I spent the summer and then the next 6 months in Hawaii. And my mother had a retreat center for Ayurveda there. And my stepfather lived there, and he had a soap and candle store. And she had a chef that was there doing the retreat. And so she came to the mainland, and I stayed with him. And we'd go to the farmer's market, and we'd cook all the time. And it was something I loved. And I got a little job at a place called Postcards in Honolulu Bay. And I was just prepping for them. And then I came back at Christmas and did Christmas dinner with my family, my dad's side of the family. And they're like, why don't you go to culinary school since you don't know? And I was living with my grandmother in Seal Beach in Rossmore. And I was like, that's an interesting idea.
Is it when you went to rrotred College?
Yeah, and so she wanted me to go to Cyprus because they had a little culinary program. And I'm like, I really want to get back to Orange County and move back to Laguna. And so I looked and I saw Orange Coast College had a culinary program.
Yeah.
And
That was the only one at that
it was
time.
the only one.
Yeah.
And I took a class.
Several now, not just
Yeah, but
several.
rrotred College was
But
the
for a while it was-
pioneer.
This was in
Notebook.
1999, I
Yeah,
believe.
right.
And so it was a place that I landed. And when I did that, we had a family friend, Jeff Parker, who worked for Creme de la Creme doing their operation and event stuff. And so I got a job with him at Creme de la Creme. And then I met this woman, Patty.
Patty.
And Patty is
our
how we got
connection.
connected.
Patty, she is the one that put us together.
Yeah.
And who's Patty?
Patty was my manager, catering manager, and coordinator for my catering, also at the Café Jardin, the restaurant at Sherman Library.
Gardens. Yeah.
And she introduced me
Yeah.
to Lindsey.
So we were at Creme, and she's like, I've got this thing that I do over at Sherman Gardens, and I need staff. Why don't you come work there? And then, I'm going to go up to Universal Studios, and I'm going to be working up there. Do you want to come with me? They need more help. And then we're going to Fox Studios, and then we're going, and I end up working for 10 different catering companies because of all the people I met through that. And then one night, Pascal was shorthanded, and he had called Patty, and she's, you have a student that works for you, a server, but she's always in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And she's going to culinary school. Why don't you try to bring her into Traditions by Pascal and see if she can fit in?
Yeah.
And so Scott was your chef.
Yeah.
And at 9 o'clock at night, I'd been doing garde manger and the salad line and doing all the little charcuterie little baskets that you used to do. And they pulled me into the fridge and they said, it's been 3 months since we've been able to fill this position. You did it all night and it's Saturday night.
Yes.
Do you want a job?
Wow.
And you said,
And I said yes. I negotiated my salary a little bit, but I said yes.
with me?
What's it like working for Chef Pascal? Tell us the truth now, because I think he's a little dictatorial. I bet he was a little.
Okay, I think this is my last.
Because he tells me he only had one requirement. Whatever he'd say to people, their answer is supposed to be, we chef.
I would not mind that she said I was tough, but my toughness was justified. That's
Yeah.
right.
I don't think it was like tough. I think I was starting out and I knew that it was going to be learning. But I do remember my sister's birthday's in July, and I'd worked there for about 3 months. And he had this woman that was in the catering side, or on the epicerie side.
Epicerie side.
And
or
they
daily.
let me make this chocolate cake and use everything. And I did this chocolate cake with a little bit of coffee. And then I made like a buttercream and put bananas in this chocolate mousse that I made. And it was like,
I think I
got
still
help.
remember.
And it was amazing. And my sister was like totally excited. And it was right when I was starting. And it was like, I felt at least, even if it was tough, I had somewhere that I could go to and I was learning. And it was a
People
good...
must have learned, because lots of people have gone through his kitchen. We were at some event, somebody came up to him and they said, you won't remember, but I worked for you for a short period of time. And he looked at him and he said, did I fire you?
Well, several times.
Several times.
No, it was actually, there was the sous chef. I don't remember her name right now. Scott was your executive chef, and then there was a French woman that worked there.
Oh, Katia.
Katya. Oh, she was a hard ass. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
She was scarier than he was. Do not cross
Bang,
this
bang,
woman.
bang. You could hear her move with the pan on the stool. Yeah. And,
Yeah, that's what I think I remember more.
Katia,
was her.
No,
Yeah.
I forgot about it. Now
Yeah.
you bring back memories.
She was a firecracker.
But she did well.
She did great.
But the style of cooking that you learned to do from the great people like Paul Bocuse and stuff was very structured. There's one way to do it. I don't want to hear 15 ways to do it.
That was my background. And I was the opportunity for one to be chef here, to work in a kitchen that so actually close to that type of situation of a fine dining restaurant. But I have to say, because at the time that worked for me, we had two kitchens. We had the fine dining restaurant kitchen, where she had to work very hard for the dinner time, especially on the weekend, because we had two sittings back to back and all. But there was the more catering kitchen, on daily kitchen charcuterie. And I'm sure she liked to cook in the kitchen because she was alone.
Mm-hmm. Do all my fried herbs and all my shallots and everything.
And now
in
you're
the
doing
day.
a wider variety of things at these, because somebody hires you to catering, they're not just going to take the 4 or 5 French items that you want to focus on. They want to do something else, Indian food or something.
Yeah, no, not really. She really stick to in my cuisine, to my cuisine.
Okay.
And then she learned, she used to make my onion soup, and she still make the same
That's where
recipe.
it came from. You got her into soup here, see?
maybe I did. And but after that, she worked couple years for me.
It was only about a year,
Yeah.
a little over a year, because the last 6 months of it, I got a job at the Ritz-Carlton in Laguna Beach.
You went to Ritz-Carlton.
And so I'd get to the Ritz in the pastry department and in the banquet department when I was working, and I'd get there at 5:30 or 6 in the morning.
Yeah, you were burned out.
And so then I would leave there at 2. I'd do their tea service, and then I would take a little break, and then I'd be to Pascal's by 4, and then we'd get done around 9:30 or so, and I'd go. And I was young, so I had the energy, but 6 months of it.
2 tough jobs.
And work, and I was going to school at the time then too.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing any catering anymore that I recall, but that was.
So here's the question I have for you that I've had for everybody he's brought through that once mentored or worked for him or whatever. Why do so few people want to do what you do and open a brick and mortar?
Oh, they're crazy if they do. We're not sane people.
They want a food truck. They want to be a private chef. They want to do something without
There's flexibility. There is something to be said about the compromises that you make having a restaurant. Mm-hmm. With anybody that has any brick and mortar, whether it's a gallery or a clothing store or anything, you give up just as much as you put in, and the reward is just as much as the compromise. And I think that now there's so much ability that people have to have flexibility because of where people are sourcing, whether it's having a party at their home. They now have a food truck that can pull up to their business. Right. So there's so much
private
available.
Chef or something. Or the opposite end, you can work for the Ritz-Carltons, you can work for the resorts, you can work for the big jobs, which is a different kind of structure, but it's consistent. It pays well.
You leave it at work. You literally clock in. You do your thing. You learn what you want to learn. You get to do what you love, and then you get to leave it behind.
So she decided to open her own, and then she had no more life.
Yeah, I think that was the thing I learned.
So I'm going to open my own. No, I can do it.
Yeah, I definitely like to push the limits, and I like to challenge myself. But
so I still don't hear what the food is. What do I get? I'm picturing Indian food. Is this not just
no?
Everybody's shaking their head.
Our food is really
eclectic.
Good base cuisine, fine dining, all French, all Californian, but without touch. Every dish has Chef Lindsey's touch.
So if I said to my friends or my wife, I said, let's go to Nirvana, they'd immediately say, what is it?
Yeah. So we used to say we were clean California cuisine or sustainable farm to table, but that has gotten a little diluted. So now we say we're a farm to table wine country cuisine, because when you start to think of wine country, you start to see what's growing around you, what's seasonal, what's available. Yeah. And we call it clean cuisine because we don't use seed oils, we don't do GMOs, we don't have things that have all these extra processed food and all these preservatives. We're very careful and conscious about the way we source, and we've shifted that into a more clean environment of food, and that's shifted the things that we purchase and the way that we make up the menu.
Other than soup, that's intriguing. Soup flights, lots of soups. I can't think of another place where I could go get more than one soup. There is the soup today, maybe two, but there aren't a whole flight of soups. What else would stand out if I went there and I said, man, you got to see this because they make something. So I don't remember Chef Pascal's cuisine. I know I was there a million times, but I don't remember, other than it was French. Everybody says your sea bass was something.
Sea bass, but she made a great salmon
You've
dish.
had 3 or 4
Can
people
you talk
come in
about your salmon dish?
Oh,
so
yeah. We actually had that last night. I have a ladies' night that I do once a month, and that was on our menu last night. So we've been doing it for 20 years. It's a piece of salmon that we pan-sear and then put in the oven to cook a little bit, and then we put our basil aioli that we make with garlic and some fresh-made mayonnaise and fresh basil, and it goes over the top, and then we put it in the oven to caramelize, and it sweetens the salmon. It makes it very delicate and moist. Yeah. And then generally Generally, we put it with our caramelized leek potatoes and
Caramelized leek potatoes.
yeah.
Oh, he's showing your dad's here. He's showing me a picture of it. Wow, that's
It's a beautiful dish.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful. That's an eye-catching
That was
dish.
family style that we did last night for our event, but we serve it depending on the season. We
So you got
serve it with
rice
something
with
different.
it, and what's this other green thing at the top here? What's that? This thing here? What's that on the top of the dish?
Oh, that was just from our event last night. So we did our farm salad, some asparagus with lemon zest and lemon oil, and then
Almost looks like a quiche.
there was an orzo pasta with some sun-dried tomatoes and mushrooms and pesto and some pine nuts and goat cheese.
Is it
And
a
you do a
chap-
great rack of lamb, too.
Oh, our rack of lamb's amazing. It's an Australian rack of lamb with a pistachio Dijon on the bottom,
Pistachio
Yeah.
Dijon. You say that so casually. I've never had Dijon mustard and pistachio
Come on,
anything.
you don't do
Oh,
that
yeah.
every
No,
night?
Yeah, every
at
night.
home?
That-
Yeah. No, and I've seen it on menus before. We do a Dijonnaise with white wine and Dijon mustard,
That I've seen, yeah.
a French Dijon mustard, and then our mayonnaise that we make, and then we have panko and pistachio that we grind up together, and then they adhere to the mustard.
Yeah.
And then we do either a rosemary veal demi-glace or a green peppercorn cognac sauce with it, and then we do a goat cheese mashed potato with Yukon Gold potatoes, and then broccolini with shallot butter is usually the
So you can see.
Yeah, it is a mashup of kind of classic
For,
stuff
Yeah, you
and
have-
very eclectic stuff.
For
yeah.
the people that start to listen to us, when they haven't heard the other voice behind us is our producer, Paul, who would like to know more.
I know so little about cooking, but I'm
Yeah.
so fascinated with going out to eat and the trends that have happened and where it's going. Like you said, the future. I'd love to talk about the future of restaurants. Where are we going?
The future is right now that you can tell the French cuisine training that Lindsey
The
received.
classic training.
And now she had the little California touch. And that's why she had pistachio. I would never add pistachio
wouldn't
into
think-
my course,
no.
you know. But that's the whole thing. And with the mustard, what do you say you do?
It's white wine, Dijon, and mayonnaise.
Yeah, that's she.
That creative flair and the local sourced items.
It's a kind of a cultural cuisine combination.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's not only the vegetarian and more holistic upbringing that I had with my mom and my dad. They were vegetarian and pescatarians growing up.
My wife is. She's a pescatarian, vegetarian, yeah.
Yeah. And then the French cuisine from school and from working with you, and then a lot of Italian influence and Mediterranean influence. And you look at like Blue Zones and how they eat and the quality of which they're having. They're more vegetable based. There's
These are
olive
where
oil.
people are living longer. These so-called
100 plus
blue
years,
zones,
yes.
by the
Centennial.
way, not to forget to mention Chef Paul Buchanan.
So Paul was who I worked for when I was 15, and he
Yeah.
is a farm-to-table restaurant doing
Yes.
sustainable food, and same thing. And
Still.
when even Adam Navidi, we worked together at Creme, and he was a chef that I was influenced
Yeah.
by, and he's a
And these
gluten-free
two
restaurant.
Adam Navidi has a restaurant called Oceans and Earth, and they're very more than biologic. You know, it has hydroponic growth, and
He does his own fish.
his own
Yeah.
fish. So very more extreme than
Those are
anybody
people
else.
that shaped me, you know,
Yeah.
Paul and Adam Navidi and you and being at the Ritz and just
Yeah.
those different things from growing up healthfully. And my mom is an extraordinarily great cook, and we grew up cooking everything from scratch, that it just shaped the way I did it. And then my way of how my palate was different.
This is what I always say to young individuals who want to become a chef or want to open their
We got to
restaurant.
get you a little closer to
To
the mic. You're
open
leaning
a
over.
restaurant in the future. They say, should I go to school or should I work? I say, why don't you do both? Because that's the best way. You know, you learn so much. And should I work for one chef? No. You work 1 or 2 years in one place and then you move
Yeah.
on. You can take the
You have
best of
to
it.
nurture that.
Yeah.
What it brings out, each person's going to offer something different.
Yeah, but school on its own is not enough.
And school doesn't teach you reality.
Yeah.
We have a lot of kids that have come in from different programs.
Oh, you had some students.
Yeah,
of
I've had
mine.
probably 15 students
Yeah.
come through the restaurants
Yeah.
over the years. And the one thing that I always recommend to them is you have to make the mistakes, but you have to make sure they're not too costly.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention, and you have to make sure you're learning the right things. And how can you adapt to make it work for you?
You're
'Cause-
more flexible than me. You just say
Well-
you make a mistake once and that's it.
yeah, but I don't want to get sued. It's California.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question, though? Because Chef learned at the feet of some masters and then passed it down to others. Classic French cuisine. different. How many were there? 4 or 5 basic sauces. You've told me this before.
Yeah, the mother sauce.
The mother
Mother
sauces.
sauces. And certain ways to make the sauces, certain ways to make these dishes. And when you learn that, then you can experiment. Learn the basics first. Let's learn to read and write.
The base.
Right.
Yeah.
And so many of the people have come in and said, I do Korean food now. I do something else. But I still call upon that basic French culinary training, which was the basis of so many other things. Is that still true? And are kids still learning that?
Not many chefs, or not all of them, restaurants, go to that extent. It's a little sad because you can buy quick make soup and make sauces.
Stuff,
right? That.
See, we make everything from scratch.
Everything from scratch.
We make our beurre blanc, and our beurre blanc is the base of 5 different sauces of ours. We make the demi-glace.
You have to chop your own shallot, and then a reduction of wine, a reduction of cream, and then the...
And that's surprising. I didn't realize that the French foundation was training for doing all this eclectic California stuff here, which it could be. So rather than people just saying, I'm just going to jump in and start throwing stuff together.
Yeah, but this is why, personally, I like it too. You combine all new ingredients that we didn't use in Europe.
Pistachio.
And we also have everything available all year long.
All year long.
That's
And this is the difference, is that we have adapted into this universe of I can get whatever I want whenever I want. But it's not always the best.
I think, you are right, but really, if people start to keep in mind, is this a tomato season? No. Is it a strawberry season? No. So try to stick back to that, because it's not because you go to a grocery store you can take anything you want. If you really want to have a good tomato, you have to wait for the season, no matter what.
And look at what it costs.
Yeah, that's it. Australia is cheaper when it's on season.
So we're coming. We got about 5-10 minutes because I can't go quite to the top. I got another show at 2. Another person coming in here, so I got to go get him.
You're not going to cut me short.
Just a few minutes here. Just a few minutes here. So what would you tell people who've never been to your restaurant? Why do they come here? What is it? I get it. I get passion. I get creativity. I get classic plus Nouveau cuisine, or whatever they call it now, California cuisine, all this stuff here. Is there something else that makes it heavenly here? The people, the passion, the something? What is it that you
think you have to just come and see it. But there is something that is to be said about hospitality and the quality,
lot to be said about hospitality,
and about what you feel. And we offer all 3 of those things, our staff.
I have to say, before you cut off, it's feeling like I'm at the Academy Awards. It's like,
that's right. The music is playing.
Okay, so it's gone.
We got a couple minutes. But I'm just warning you.
The Chef Lindsey, she's a great chef. She's also a great friend, and she's very involved in the culinary community here in Orange County, in Southern California. But also, she goes far and beyond to help others. When I was sick, I needed help. She brought me food. She came on my hospital bedside and spent some time with me. And she did that little personal support. It was amazing. I want to thank you for that, because your cooking is a medicine, but you bring that medicine with you too. So
I know. I remember that pasta. I make it's my kids' probably one of their favorite things. It's a grass-fed bolognese with carrots and celery and onions, and then we put some basil and some oregano, and then I do the sauce. I make some steamed zucchini, butternut squash, and then we puree it, and that goes in as the base. So it's really healthy. And I would bring him that bolognese when he was sick.
Wow. I'm going to call in sick to have that.
He's coughing already. Quick question, though, because I didn't want to leave before that. And I know I said put a time limit on this, so maybe it's a quick answer. Is the future bright and rosy for restaurants, or is it tough and struggle ahead? The labor costs, rent costs, food costs.
I'll let you answer first.
Oh, gosh. I think it's both. I think that if we don't learn how to be adaptable and not count on one, this is for me personally, I don't count on one revenue source. That's not sustainable. I don't count on a restaurant being what's going to make me money. I do it because I love it, but it is not the thing that is what's making me money. What I do out in the community and the nonprofits, the catering and some of the personal chef stuff or the stuff with the schools, like that's able to give me enough volume because these are like 100 to 300 plus events. And so that gives me things. And we do a lot of stuff with the market and online market that we're building. And so we're having revenue just when we're there already doing.
Do you do lots of takeout? That's
we do. Yeah, we do takeout too.
At first, I wasn't doing much takeout because our cuisine was so spectacular.
I wouldn't go to Pascal's to get takeout ever.
And then in our mind, our food doesn't taste as good when it's out of the restaurant. But now,
eating it at home.
And there's different things we focus on of doing to go.
Yeah.
Not everything you should do, but there are things that we can do to make it better.
And is it not because of COVID that you had to adapt?
Oh, completely.
To bring people in, and you did full meals to go.
Meals and market. We turned
and will
into
we continue to be a melange, a mixture of all sorts of different cultures and cuisines? That seems to be just embedded in our culture now in Southern California. Or are we going to go back to singular, really focused Italian, French, Greek?
No, I think people want everything. You want to go to somewhere that everybody can get something, and this is why these little pop-up kitchens.
This is very personalized. And one more thing I want to say, talking about COVID, you always manage to adapt to the time and to the circumstance. And so you change at the little phone dining room to a shop. And that was a very good move.
You've got to be creative to find multiple revenue sources.
She's a fighter. Nothing like this would put her down. She keep it going.
Yeah, in 2022 we started doing woodwork, and then everywhere I was doing, like we do a ton of grazing boards for different companies. And not only do we do the food on top, but I made the woodwork. And so the woodwork becomes beautiful things. So I've done many hotels where Pelican has about 120 of our pieces, and the Ranch Hotel has about 90 or so pieces.
What a clever thing. I'm thinking just books and...
No, she does that in her spare time.
I made all the tables in the restaurant, and so it's a really beautiful way of showcasing my creativity. And we want to make the thing that it gets served on, but we also want to make the food on top beautiful, too.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. It was spectacular. I got to go try this thing. Where is it at? What's the website? How do we find you?
So it's nirvanalaguna.com, and then Instagram is at nirvana.laguna. And it's downtown on Beach and Broadway in Laguna Beach, and between Main Beach and the Festival of Arts.
And the phone number?
The phone number is 949-497-0027. And actually, I didn't say this, but this is a good point since we're ending. Today marks our 18-year anniversary.
Wow.
And today and tomorrow,
day.
Is the 18th, and it's $18.
$18
for everything on the menu on our 18th birthday on the 18th of March.
Wow.
Perfect. All right.
So today and tomorrow, we have a few reservations left, so if people want to come and try it, these next 2 days are a good time for lunch and dinner. We're open 11:30 to 2:30 for lunch, and then 5 to 8 during the week, and 5 to 9 on Friday and Saturdays, and we are closed Sunday and Mondays.
Love it.
All right.
So
thank you so much. We're definitely going to go try it. A little slice of heaven right here in Orange County.
Yeah, it is.
All right, and Chef Pascal, how do they find you if they want to learn more about all the... You're still doing stuff, all sorts of... You should be retired and enjoying life. Why are you working?
Because we can't stop. Once you start cooking, you cook for life.
We were at Girachi's over the weekend, the winery out in Silverado Canyon. They had a big food and wine fest there. Yeah. And he's just going from booth to booth and meeting the sushi chef, private sushi chef, and the lady that makes homemade banana breads, and somebody else making hummuses. All those little clips you can send.
Crème brûlée stand.
Lots of cool things we've sampled. So go to OC Talk Radio's YouTube channel, if nothing else. See those little snippets of him interviewing, sampling, tasting some of the stuff. There's a lot here.
You can find me on pascalcuisine.com.
Okay.
And you can Google my name, Pascal Olhats, Olhats, and you will find me on social media.
There we go. Or at some little event popping up. There he'll be with his microphone talking to
Pascal Catering as well, but we don't compete.
Okay, we stay away from that.
Actually, we work together sometimes.
I'll bet you do.
Yeah.
Can't cover everything. Yeah. All right, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Oh, I played the wrong music here. Let's put the right music here.